What's up, Becca? Welcome to the Trombone Chat. Who else is here today? We got some Trombone Chat people here in the house? All right, excellent. Well, we're in for a real surprise today because we just went live spontaneously into the Trombone Chat. So if you're watching, go ahead and say hello in the chat so we know that you exist, because it's nice to know if you exist, okay? Cool. So what's up, Mike C? Excellent. Any questions that any of you have about trombone, music, or just want to chat about anything related? That's a great question. So this is a Los Angeles Williams 6, which is a really nice trombone from the legendary horn maker Earl Williams. Luke says, been playing trombone for 8 months and the videos have helped you tremendously. That makes me feel so great. Thank you so much. What is your PH says, how long have I been playing? Well, I've been playing now for 30 years. Yeah, 30 years. Hello, Miko from Finland. Any advice about beginning on the trombone? Well, there's 3 elements of music that you need to have in place. First, you have to have a grasp of rhythm. Okay, that's really important. If you don't have a grasp on rhythm, whatever you put on your instrument, it's not really going to come out. So there's elements of music and then there's elements of trombone playing. That's what I discovered, is that you have 3 elements of music that you have to get together. First, your rhythm. 2, your sense of harmony. And 3, your sense of melody. Those are the 3 ingredients what make up music, okay? But then there's 3 ingredients that make up trombone playing. And those 3 ingredients are sound. And the way we solve that is through long tones. The second ingredient is articulations. That's the clarity of how you play, okay? And that makes it clear to the listener, right? So that's the second ingredient. And the third are flexibility, lip slurs. So long tones, lip slurs, / flexibility, and articulations. Those are the 3 ingredients of trombone playing. So when you master those with trombone, with the 3 elements of music, which are rhythm, harmony, and melody, you're setting yourself up for a nice situation. Okay? Yeah. And it all starts with the rhythm. So make sure you're counting, tapping your foot. It's all good with the radio on or whatever music you're listening. Get that rhythm good, because if your rhythm's not together, no matter how good you are, as far as flexibility, sound, and everything, if it doesn't have good rhythm, nothing matters. Okay? David, your band? Cool. You're in Illinois? That's great to know. What is your band? Oh, by the way, people have been asking me about it. I'll let you all know that my album comes out November 1st. It's an experiment that I put together where I have some very interesting components where I created a album that sounds like an acoustic jazz band, but the only thing acoustic about it is the trombone. The other instruments are sampled, and I wanted to see how far we could take it to make it sound real. Now, you may ask, why in the world did I do something like that? The reason I did something like that is because remember that lockdown we all had? Well, I was planning on rehearsing with my band and going to the studio, but the issue was I couldn't get anyone to rehearse. So I just did this for fun. It turned out pretty good. And then a producer friend of mine heard it, and we said, well, let's make a full project with this kind of vibe. And that's what we did. And right now, you guys can hear it before anyone else in the world. So if you just go to music.paulthetrombonist.com/album, or if you go to this little link here, you all can listen to this album before the rest of the world because you're my subscribers. Okay. And you can actually grab a copy weeks in advance compared to the rest of the public. And I'm also going to throw in $100 ticket where we're going to go behind the scenes, and I'm going to do a little behind the scenes of how we created it so you can apply it into your life if you want to, or if you just want to listen to see how this was made. It's kind of interesting because there are some technical tricks we had to implement to make this sound real. Okay. So yeah, it's only $19, and it comes out on Spotify on November 1st, but this way you can get the high resolution files, and also you can join us on that listening party behind the scenes. Okay. So there's that. Any other questions? Yeah, the trombone's not sampled. That would be tough. Like, that'd be weird if I created a trombone album and the trombone was sampled. The piano's real too. Piano's real. Luke says, if you're learning a song by ear, do you use the trombone from the get-go, or do you transcribe it on the piano first before moving to the horn? I actually do a combination of both of those. So sometimes I'll go to the piano, and then sometimes I'll go to the trombone. Sometimes I'll compose on the piano, and sometimes I'll compose on the trombone. I like to mix it up a bit. It's a great question. David says, how many instruments do you need to play regularly to be one? Well, I recommend everyone has a understanding of how the piano is organized. So if you understand how the piano is organized, you're putting yourself in a nice situation to pretty much know how every musical instrument is organized. Okay. So everyone should have a little piano understanding. You don't have to be a master at it, but I recommend everyone has an understanding of it. And then focus on one instrument to be a principal instrument where you master it, or you potentially try to master it. Okay. What instrument did I learn first? Great question. The first instrument I learned was a banjo. Believe it or not, a banjo. And I did the banjo for a while. Then I played trombone, then guitar, bass, drums, piano, and then I learned all the different band instruments because I used to teach band actually at one point. What's up, our friend from Japan? Nice to see you. Great to see you. Most excellent. John, straight away, you were bang on with rhythm. If you ain't got the groove, every lick you play will be a tempo. Yeah, it's so true. And I'll tell you a little story. God bless this gentleman I grew up with. He played an instrument. I won't say what it is in case he's watching this. And he practiced so much, and he had a good sound, like really good, and he practiced the sound, and he had a great sound, but he could never play the rhythms ever. And it cost him his career. He actually ended up having to quit. So rhythm is actually more important than anything. Because if you could play a bunch of gibberish with good rhythm, and you're going to convince people that you're in control. For example, I remember I had no clue what I was doing in the earlier years of my life, but I had a command over my rhythm. So even though I had no clue what notes I was playing or anything, the audience responded and felt that they believed I knew what I was doing just because of that command over the rhythm. So it's that important where you can almost fool people that you know how to play if your rhythm's good and you're just playing random notes. How many trombones do I have? Probably too many. But in this room, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In the other room, there's probably another 3. In the studio, it's probably another 5 or something like that. Well, see, the reason I have so many trombones is I'm fascinated with preserving the history of the instrument so I can share them with everybody in my networks and on my channels and everything. So I'm fascinated with the history. I geek out on the history, and I want to preserve the history. So I study the history, and I collect the instruments from the different time periods and play them, know how they operate, know how they feel, and then I can learn like what I'm looking for in a good instrument, what makes a good instrument. When you play a lot of different instruments, you can tell and feel what is a good instrument. Certain instruments perform really well in different situations. For example, this instrument right here, this was the first time I played it in a big band over the weekend, and I was playing lead. It was a good big band. It's a great big band, top players in California. And it was at that point I realized that this particular L.A. Williams is insane for playing lead. And I would have never known that if I didn't play it in different contexts. Do you play sackbut, the ancient trombone? I have played it at the NAMM show. They had some. And it's pretty fun. And I was thinking about maybe getting one and playing some jazz on it because nobody does that. You know what I mean? These are great questions. Audio is pretty good here. As far as you can hear me, everything's good. Everything's cool. Now I want to know, what are you all uh, John Williams, why do you think Jack Teagarden loved it? Exactly. And it's not just Jack Teagarden, it's tons. And actually I'm going to do a video on the history of Williams and all the players that played it. Okay. So there was a couple different eras of Earl Williams. And I want to talk about it. And I want to put together a little presentation to put on my channel because it's really fascinating and how he influenced a lot of the different horn makers of this time period. And there's something about his slides. I don't know what it is. There's no lubricant on this thing. This thing is like slippery. This thing is 70 years old. There is no lubricant on here. Okay. See that? It's like free fall speed. No lubricant on it right now. 70-year-old trombone player. Trombone. Okay. Something Earl Williams did with his instruments that nobody really knows. They haven't been able to tap into it. People have tried, but there's some secrets that he carried with him that nobody knows. And one of them is the slides. How did he get his slides to be so good? A good slide can really be all the difference on how you feel playing. You can be the same musician, play one trombone with an amazing slide, and play another trombone with an average slide, and you become a better trombone player on the better slide. It's the weirdest thing. The stockings are lighter. Interesting, John. Have I ever been abroad? Yes, I have. I went years back in 2007. I went on tour with the Glenn Miller Orchestra, and I went all around Japan. I went all around Canada and almost every state in the US. I've also, on my own travels, been to England multiple times, and I've been to almost every city in China. Who, in my opinion, has the most unique tone quality? Great question, Keith. Alive or of past, or both? Okay, so I'll say for tone, for the best trombone sound of this time period that's alive right now would probably have to be a gentleman named Andy Hunter. I believe Andy has one of the best sounds ever. And he was my first teacher back when I lived in Cleveland. Okay, so if you haven't heard Andy Hunter play, his tone quality even makes classical trombone players' jaws drop. Okay, so you want to check out him. Love his sound. Now, of all time, that's a tough one. I love JJ's sound. Something about it. Okay, I also like Irby Green's sound. Something about it. There's a lot of them. The list goes on. I can't even name all the sounds I like. John plays the Wrath 10, the slide is heaven, and you can hardly see the stockings. Yeah, those are amazing trombones. Have I gotten into honor band? Becca's asking. Yeah, back in the day. It's been a while. I mean, gosh, I'm much older than you probably. Yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, I was in those honor groups and solo and ensemble competitions and all that fun activities back in the day of my development and music education. We're having fun today, aren't we? These are great questions. I'm happy that you stopped by. I haven't done a live stream in a while on this channel. So I'll tell you a little bit what's going on with the channel. First, I want to know, what do you want to see from me? what are the contents that you enjoy the most? Because I'm just going to give you what you guys want. I'm not going to do what I want. I want to do what you want. Okay. So that, and then I also tell you a little bit of plans that I'm thinking. So I definitely want to do that video on the history of the Earl Williams. Do you like more like tutorial based things? Like, do you like it when I perform covers? Like, just kind of curious what everyone's looking to, or a mix of both, or what? Just let me know in the comments, please. Technique video breakdowns, like trombone technique. Becca wants more cover based stuff. What cover in particular? Like doing famous songs, but with trombone? More standards, Eric says. Okay, cool. I put up a standard on my Instagram yesterday. You know the tune Foggy Day? You all know that one? It's a fun one. Some breakdown of different players and their styles would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool, Keith. That's the thing, is there is no like best player. There is no best player. There is only like cuz how could we eat only one type of food, right? And that's the beauty, is like everyone communicates differently on their instrument, and it's so fun and exciting to hear everyone's own voice come out of their instrument. So how can you really say who's the best? Although there are certain players that resonate with different people, and I definitely have mine that resonate with me. When I hear them play, I'm like, whoa. Tell you a couple of them right now. When I hear John Allred play, does everyone here know John Allred? If you don't, John Allred is a player that when I hear him play, every solo he plays, I'm like, wow, it's just perfect. Bart is a great player. History. Advice on tonguing. Great question. Continuously stopping and starting your tone. That's something I struggled with. I remember working on that when I was younger. And I had an epiphany one day. And it was when I analyzed my tone through recording software. And I noticed that the wavelengths of my trombone sound, the way they looked on the computer, were different at the beginning of the start of the note versus the end of the note. And what I discovered then, David, was that a lot of the times we work at the beginning of the tone production, but not the end of the tone production. So really what you want to strive for is you want your sound to almost look like sausages. If you can imagine the wavelengths, you want them to look like sausages. And I typically end it just with air. That ended with tongue, that last one. So if you were to look at that on the computer software, it would look like a sausage. So one of the ways you can work on this is to record yourself and then look at the sound waves after you record your practicing. Does that help, David? Oh, thanks, Becca. You like the House Moving Castle? Oh, thank you so much. I love that tune. That's one of those haunting, beautiful melodies. I performed that one on my King 3B. This has a really cool kind of like orchestral tone, the 3B. Do I know? Oh, Johannes is asking about the BVL models. Oh, yeah. Is that the horns they play? They have like that really interesting counterweight. Yeah. This is an amazing trombone. What's so cool about this is it was in someone's closet. Okay. This was in somebody's closet in mint condition from 19, I think, let's see here, 19, 1950. I have it written down. 1965. So this is a mint condition 1965 3B sitting in someone's closet for all those years. So when I got this trombone, the slide hadn't even been worked in yet. So it was like almost going in a time machine, which is pretty cool because I haven't played the new ones. I haven't. I'm sure they're fine. But I definitely know that the ones back in that era are the ones our favorite trombone players played. J.J. Johnson. Enough said. Oh, I know. There's tons of those trombones sitting in people's closets. They don't know what they have. Do I think trombone teen is a good option for slide lubricant? I would recommend either Slido Mix or the Yamaha lubricant. That's a good question. I started out using trombone teen back in the day. Back when I was in 5th grade. Okay. They've evolved since then. Lubricant has evolved since then. So they figured out between Slido Mix and the new Yamaha lubricant, it's not new anymore, but the newer one, that they really got it down. Have I ever met Troy Andrews? Yes, there's a photo of me and him right there on the wall together. What would I say about his style? I think he's great at what he does. He's a monster performer. That's awesome, John. Advice on how much you should grease your slide. Well, a good slide, you don't need to do it too much. That's the cool part. So it has been weeks since I even put anything on here. So if it's a good slide, like what I was saying, you know what I mean? Then you don't need to really lubricate it at all. Just once in a while. So every so often, as needed. Yeah. What's up, Ace? Shotgun Jazz Band with Charlie Halloran. Love the way he uses the trill. Nice. That's fun. Yeah, so people are asking. I'm going to throw the link in here. You all can grab my album a month early if you would want to. And I'm also going to throw in a ticket to $100 behind the scenes of how we constructed it with the engineering and involved in everything. So then you can apply that if you want to do something similar. It's pretty fun. So just $19. It's chill. Or you can just wait till Spotify, although you're going to get a better experience if you get in now. Just be upfront about it. All right. So now we have some other questions. Johannes, only one time a week. Yeah, just about. Green streaks on the slide. Some instruments are like that from the brass deposits. Okay. Some instruments have that. Not every trombone has that on the slide. Sean, some trombones never have it. These Williams trombones, I have yet to see any green streaks on the trombone. This is a 70-year-old trombone. I see them on some of these other ones. I see them definitely on the King trombones. The King trombones, lots of that. We got a great question from Ace. How do you get started doing YouTube stuff like me? You just start. There's no rules to it. You just start. And the hardest thing about doing anything is starting. And once you start it, it takes care of itself. So what I would do is I would just get on a schedule and just commit to X amount of videos each week and just go for it and realize that do it no matter what, even if there's no views or whatever, because eventually people will start to find you and they'll be like, oh, this person's really committed. They keep putting it up. So I'll keep checking into what they're doing. Okay. And you just go for it. And I'm telling you, if you commit to putting up 100 videos, watch what happens. Say, I'm going to commit to 100 videos this year. I'm going to put them up there no matter what happens, and do it for the love of it. This is another thing I realized. Do it for the love of it because people see that. Like if you love what you're doing and people feel that, then they really resonate with joining on that journey. If it seems like some kind of work and effort and you're like, oh, I got to do that, people will feel that and they're not going to want to hang out, you know? So I almost look at my YouTube channel as like a diary of my life. Like, what's going on in my life? I'm working on this music. Well, if I want to get some information out there to people, maybe interview people I want to talk to so you guys can all enjoy it too. And it's like a little diary of my musical journey, or my life journey. And it can be a gift we can leave to our loved ones, like my future children, grandchildren. They can see what their dad and grandfather was up to one day, on the internet and just kind of go through it like a diary. You know what I mean? And even if you do it for that reason, that's a great reason, or anything. If you just do it to do it. Give away a trombone. I have given away lots of trombones, Becca. I have done this. So every once in a while, I'll do a trombone giveaway. I have done this. I've probably given away about 4 trombones in my life. So that's one of the benefits of hanging out with me. If you hang out with me, you never know if you get a trombone. Okay? Where can I go out and try trombones? I'm looking to get a new one, but don't know how to test them out. Great question, Reed. Great question. So the first place you want to go is just go to any local music store and say, do you have any trombones? And you're just going to call them. Okay? I know that Guitar Center has some. I know Sam Ash has some. So look at Sam Ash. That would be a good place to start, or any local music store, and just ask them. Another place you can go, if you ever go to any of those like band show, like they do those like convention trade shows. There's like they do them in the Midwest, they do them on the East Coast, they do them on the West Coast, they do the NAMM shows too. Those kind of conventions, all the vendors hang out with each other and set up a booth with their instruments. So all you need to do is bring your mouthpiece. You can try out as many trombones as you like. I guess my question for you, Reed, is where do you live? Because then that determines the strategy of how to get you to test out a trombone. Benjamin says, maybe due to the higher content in the brass on the outer slide. That's a good point in terms of getting it green. Eric asks, can you recommend any publications about trombone history? I have my dad's Cavalier trombone that I cannot find history on, but I've been told it's probably from the 20s. Yeah, okay. This is a great question, Eric. So there's a Facebook group that my buddy Mike Corrigan, he's the owner of BAC. He has it. It's called Vintage and Custom Trombones. It's a Facebook group. And you just go into that group and you post the instrument, and everyone in there is a real geek for the trombone history. And they will chime in, and even Mike too, he's a real expert. A lot of these people can chime in and give you information on that instrument. That's the best place to go to. And I know all the places. That's the best place to go to. It's called Vintage and Custom Trombones by Mike Corrigan. Vintage and Custom Trombones by Mike Corrigan Facebook group. Okay, that's the one. You have Gilliam's Music Store. So I would start there. Okay, someone's asked. We got to get back to that other question. You're only 45 minutes away from the Wrath Factory, John. That's awesome. How do I get the motivation to practice? Well, it's become so ingrained in me now that it's like eating. So let me ask you the question: how do you get the motivation to eat? Right? It's the same with me with practicing. I do know some hacks that can motivate you, and a lot of it is just having the instrument in front of your face. That's why you see all these instruments everywhere in my house. Because what I discovered long ago when I was a teenager is the hardest part about practicing is taking the instrument out of its case. And once you take the instrument out of its case, you can't put the instrument down. So one of the loopholes I'd figured out was to put trombones on like a stand in front of my face every morning. And then I can't help but pick it up. You're waiting for the coffee to brew. You're waiting for someone to pick you up. You're waiting for this. You're waiting for that. You're waiting for the laundry. Well, there's always some downtime throughout the day, and it's easy to pick up the trombone because you don't have to take it out of the case. Okay. And I like to think about the pain of not doing it. So, yes, there's a pain of doing it because it takes some discipline, all of that. But then I think about, if I don't do this, what is the pain of me looking back at an old age and saying to myself, I wish I had put more into the instrument because I really loved it and I didn't give it its full justice. And when that fear becomes greater, it should motivate you to practice. There's a lot of benefits of it. Even if you're not going to be a professional musician, there's a lot of benefits of spending a lot of time on your instrument. One, it teaches you to be in the present moment. It teaches you how to relax, mindfulness of the present moment of the now, not to be in the future thinking about things that aren't happening and have anxiety, and not to dwell on the past. And it truly is the most powerful form of meditating. And meditating is just having an awareness of the present moment. And that's what you get through learning an instrument. You also learn how to teach yourself anything. So the discipline you learn on learning your instrument, from those skills, I have learned how to do other disciplines, edit videos, build businesses, how to teach myself different software, programming, all different things I never knew. But the process of learning how to do those all came from the discipline that I discovered from learning an instrument. Straight up. So when you know how to discipline yourself to learn an instrument, that same level of thinking and that same way of thinking can be applied on how to teach yourself anything in this world. And because of that, you can self-learn at an exponential rate compared to other people. These questions are getting good. Yes, listening to people that you are inspired with their playing definitely helps motivate all of us to practice. What's the lowest note you can play? I can hit an A flat an octave below the first partial, but it disappears if you go to further. Well, there's all kinds of notes. So lowest is probably like the pedal E. Right? Then we got double pedals. That's a double pedal E. Now, if you do these too long, you get lightheaded and you get numb everywhere. I remember in my lessons with Phil Wilson, we used to see how low we would get, and I used to get numb, and you start to feel like you're going to pass out. But it's also kind of fun in a weird way. I haven't watched the Andrew Williams live streams, but I will keep an eye on that. Thanks for letting me know. I love Christian Lindbergh, an icon, a total icon. Who's picking noses? Somebody's picking their nose? You know, you can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose. I hope you remember that. Okay. Yeah, I like Jacob Collier. To the left of me? What do you mean to the left of me? Oh, thank you so much. Kizerick? Did I pronounce that correctly? I appreciate you all. That's a good community. I should go live more often. I miss you all. YouTube is my favorite place, by the way. You know, all the social networks and stuff. But there's something about YouTube. It's where I started. YouTube is where I started. This is where I started my journey. because YouTube came about at the same time I was coming about. And I think I put up my first video on YouTube back in like 2005 or 6 on one of my other channels. And I remember it very well. It was a video of me comparing a Williams trombone to a Shire's trombone. Look, I'm still doing the same things. How many years later, I'm still doing these comparison videos? And that was like back in the day. I had a Tulsa Williams comparing it to a Shire's trombone. That was like way back in there. Yeah, it was like back then. I should redo that video in this time period. What's my thoughts on 524 board jazz? Great question. So I actually started jazz, not started, but when I was in college, I played a 560 some bore, an orchestral trombone, a Getzen orchestral trombone, and I actually learned jazz on it. And I played lead on it too. It's kind of crazy, but the reason that I believe it was a good thing that I went through was once I left that large equipment and I went to a 500, 508, 491 size bore, my ability to control my air and my sound to fill it out, I owe it to all those years playing that large bore instrument. So it's not something I would technically like that large to play for your entire career, but as a youngster or getting into it, I recommend actually playing a lot on a large bore instrument because it's going to train you to use your air and set you up for the rest of your life. And you can always go smaller. It's always easier to go smaller than it is to get set in your ways and to go bigger later on. Does that make sense, folks? Give me a 5 if that makes sense. Have I heard about the Stephen Shire's custom trombones from Brass Arc? Yeah, I have one. I have one of the first Shire's trombones. And I have recorded tons of content on it, and I play it all the time. It's on my piano right now. Awesome. Yeah, there's an interesting story about Shire. So I'm fascinated with this history. So you know BAC trombones, right? Mike Corgan. Mike used to work at the Shire's factory. Shire's used to work at the Edwards factory, right? They're all connected. So when Mike was at Shire's, my Shire's, Mike helped make. Very interesting. The YouTube channel, The Chop Shop. I think I've seen The Chop Shop. Who's that? Is it a music store? Thoughts on Greenhill Line? I've heard good things about those. Yeah, I've heard good things about those. I mean, they're all good. It's like driving nice cars. It's like living in a nice city. It's like enjoying a great movie. What's the best? Well, they're all fun, right? They're all fun. What's the oldest trombone I collected? This one. This is the oldest one. So this is a silver tone. Look how beautiful that is. This is a King silver tone from 1946. From 1946. Sterling silver with a gold wash bell with that engraving. It's from 1946. And it plays great. Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I love beautiful instruments. You've seen my main trombone, right? Look at this. Talk about beautiful, though. I mean, can you beat that? Art Deco, custom engraving? Come on now. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Boom. This is a beautiful instrument. Do I like poetry? Sure. Yeah, I love that trombone. It's special. Yes, I have that. I was at Marshall's album. I got it. I actually pre-ordered it and bought the signed copy. I bought every Marshall Jilks album since he started making albums. And I knew Marshall way back. The first time I met Marshall was in 2002 when I was studying with Andy Hunter. And Andy was my teacher, and Marshall used to be Andy's roommate. They both went to Interlochen at the time. And then Marshall was visiting Andy in town. And then we got together, and I had a lesson with both of them. And that was one of the first times I met Marshall. Can I play a quick melody? Sure. I should turn this mic down so it doesn't clip. There you go. Did that clip, or was the sound on it? Thank you, B. Appreciate that. Oh, I'd love to get Dave on. I'm going to write that down. Thank you so much. Thank you. How do I get a clean trombone tone? So it's a combination of listening to a lot of different players, recording yourself, and then listening back to your recordings and try to visualize absorbing what you like from the players you like so it comes out of your instrument. And if you do it enough through repetition, what ends up happening is your tone just naturally starts to get better. This is something that I didn't really realize until I'm on the other side of it. But as I was going through it, I was really struggling, and I was like, oh gosh, all these people sound so good. I love their sounds. Oh my gosh, I love their sounds. Why can't I get my sound together? Why is it not like the people I love? And then what I realized now later in the future is that it ends up happening just from listening to people, recording yourself, and visualizing, having the intention that your intention and your attention. So you intend to get the sound you are hearing in your brain, and you would tend to get it by doing long tones and recording yourself. And you just keep listening, recording, and I'm telling you, that is all you got to do. And long tones in that. And if you keep doing that, you will get the sound that you hear in your head. I'm telling you, that's all you got to do. You just record yourself, you listen to players you like, and you do long tones. Your sound will become the sound you want it to become. That's it. I don't have that memorized, Becca. Putting me on the spot here. That's good. Joined your small community band, about 70. You have 14 players, so you formed a trombone choir. Do I have a chart of charts you recommend for you to play? Oh. I don't really have anything that comes to mind. I wish I did. But I just really like you guys. That's out of my area of expertise. Eric, I wish I could help you on that. Because I've never ordered charts like that. So now it's so easy to record yourself. It's so easy to record yourself. Back in the day, do you know how tough it was? I had to get like these things and extra stuff. Nowadays, you got this stuff. Come on, there's no excuse not to record yourself now. You know what I mean? It's so easy. And it's so easy to do play alongs. It's so easy to, nowadays, it's very easy to do things. So information is everywhere now. It's not the lack of, can I be real with you folks? Can I be real with you folks? Do you mind if I be real with you all? Okay. It's not our lack of resources that allow us to get to where we want to go. It's our lack of resourcefulness. Does that make sense? Because information's everywhere. The information's there. The roadmap is there. The fastest way to get to where you want to go is to go to somebody that's gotten to where you want to go and say, how did you get there? And follow what they say. So the information's there. And basically, you can achieve anything you want in life. Well, you know, on that note, you can achieve anything you want in life knowing that. It's almost like the cheat codes to life when you understand this. The cheat codes of life. You can achieve anything you want by finding somebody that's achieved what you wanted to, hitting them up, asking how they did it, and following it. And you have to set two things. You can't just visualize it. You have to set your intention to do it and your attention. What's your intention? The intention is the visualization of it, and the attention is taking action. So you have to take action. It's the combination. See, I'm all into the manifestation stuff, but where people get it wrong is they think that just thinking these things will make it happen in your life. It's the combination of thinking it and taking action. Visualizing and taking action. Those are the combinations. And there's a lot I still want to do in my life, but I've achieved a lot of the things that I had that mindset with in my life. So I wanted to achieve a certain level on the instrument, wanted to be known in the community, work with certain people, and all that was manifested. Okay. I wanted to build some sort of online presence. All of that was manifested. I wanted to become a millionaire in my 30s. I made it happen. All of that was manifested by intention and attention. Okay. You have to have them both. All right. What do I think about the YSL 651? I love those instruments. I don't think I have the 651 now that people have been commenting on my video. Oh, I do have the 651. I have one. I love them. I have the 651. It's a good one. Yeah, if you really want somebody to find the ways. And the beauty is people are more than happy to help. See, one of the issues people have is they're just afraid to ask people for help. Like they're afraid to ask, like, straight up, like, look, I know that you did this. I'm, aspiring to do that. Do you have any advice? Like, if you just do that, like if someone does that to me and says, hey, look, you got any advice? And it's like, it's not like a stupid, how some people are like, they'll like send a message and it's like weird, right? But if you just have like an honest message with somebody, you'll be amazed at people that will want to help lift you up in life. Generally speaking, most people in life are cool. Do not get tripped up with what you hear on the news all the time. They make us think the world is a scary place. Yes, there's some weird stuff going on. But generally speaking, with my own belief in life and what I've experienced in life is that the majority of human beings are there to help other human beings. Okay? And it's just a little group of stupid people that ruin it for everybody. And it gets all of the airplay. All right? So one of the beautiful things about life is you can shift your own paradigm of your perception of life. So if you want to live in a world that's totally negative, that's on you because you can create whatever reality you want. Or if you want to live in a world that's super positive and you think that way, you can do that as well. That's the most interesting is we create our own reality in our mind. So if you got to choose, you might as well choose a life that's full of love, that's full of helping people and doing something that you find creative. Because I believe that we were created on this earth to create. We're creators. We're creative beings. We were created by someone that was creative. And I believe that we were put here to also be created and to create our own creations. So if you ever have a question on what your purpose in life was, have you ever been in a situation where you're working on something and you almost forget to eat? And someone tries to say, "Hey, it's time for dinner." You're like, "Oh, I'm almost done. Come on, leave me alone." Right? Whatever that activity is, where those moments happen, that generally means that's what you were meant to do in this world. So when you find yourself in a situation where you have those moments, stop and think, what did I just experience there? That means I'm on track on doing something that I was put on this earth to do because I'm in the zone. They call it the zone, right? And those kind of activities, that's really what you put here on earth. And I know it happens with music for me. I know it happens even when I edit these videos and things like that. Like, especially like some of those really crazy videos like Arturo and I do. And like there's like tons of multi-tracks and everything like that. Time almost ceases to exist when I work on those videos. And I'll be like putting like 40 or 50 hours into it sometimes. Or when I'm like mixing a track, I'm trying to get the balance right, trying to make the strings sound good versus the trombone quality and mixing the track. No one can phase me. I don't want to do anything other than work on that. And those are the signals that that's what you were put on this earth to do. Are you all resonating with this? Give me a 5 if this is starting to make some sense. What do I think of the woodwinds? I love woodwinds. I love all instruments. Okay, you all are good people. This is great people. All right, so I'll put the link in there one more time before I sign off. This is a good group of people. This is the best group I've ever had on these live streams. This is my new album. You guys can listen to it today, weeks before it gets released in the public, and you also get a $100 free ticket. I'm going to give you a free ticket to a $100 behind the scenes event of how I created it with the producer and the engineer and all that. Okay. And then you can hear it today. You can hear it like before anything. It's only $19. You get all that. And it's basically all originals, one Joe Beam tune. We know Joe Beam's awesome. And the whole point of the project was to see how real we can make the band sound, and the only thing real is the trombone and the piano. It's a weird project, I know. But you can only do so much during a lockdown, right? So that's how it goes. All right, my dear friends of the world, I appreciate you all. Don't forget to hit like on this so our other fans of the trombone can get this pushed out to. That helps out. So go ahead and hit like on these things and appreciate you tremendously. This was fun to reconnect with you all. It's been a while and I just appreciate this community so much. I really do. It's my favorite place. It is. Okay. Brandon, good to see you. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.